Setting up and maintaining a company health and safety system does not have to be complicated, nor does it have to take a lot of time, and I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm using a system called Zardocs Compliance, and it is set up in a logical and simple manner so that anybody within your company can understand what is there and be able to access information to update it. Because a health and safety management system is a living item and it will change all the time. This is a detailed video. There are shorter ones available, but this will go into in-depth on all the major components of the system, and I'll show you how to set up from scratch. So when you first open the program, it will generate your first project, which is your company safety management system. If you do work on other projects or other sites, the system allows you to make project-specific sets of documents for those sites as well. In selecting a project, we are asked if we want to check for expiry dates, and from our home page we can access all the major components, and these are the ones that need to be updated on a regular basis. And these links are also the key elements to use when setting up your document. For example, we have company details, your company documents, which are your insurance policies and other company certificates. And then we have the personnel section. So of course this is really important because without the people, your company is not going to operate. And what we're keeping track on here is their personal information and all their training documents, their levels of competency and appropriate expiry dates. The company organogram is set up, that is the reporting structure within the business. And then we have our detailed training register showing all the certificates and qualifications and competencies of the people within the organization. And next we deal with appointments and responsibility. So how this works is we see the ones relevant to the business at the time or the particular project, and we can look at the detail of the person there, and that content there can be edited to suit this project. We can set out their competencies, or we can even add in a certificate if there's one available. And of course, all appointments and responsibilities must have a defining date, which can be short for a period on a project, or it can be more long-term within the company itself. You can make reference to a particular act or legislation, and if it's project-based, you can add in the dates. And for example, a responsibility document will be one person accepting responsibility. If you make it an appointment, you will now have one other person appointing another, and now two people will need to sign the document. And all these appointments are stored in the appointment library, of which the common one used are there. And to see them all, we go to see all in the system, and there's a whole range there that have been set up. Many will not be relevant to you, that's okay. And of course you can then add in your own appointments as well, or simply take an existing one, duplicate it and change the name and the content. So if you're generating multiple projects, you want to now set up all your appointments in advance, and these become our default appointments. So in this case there are only two. We can always add in another, which we select from our list, and we add that person over there. And let's say we want to actually have it as an appointment rather than a responsibility. We'll add in the appointor. So when we create a new project, these names will automatically be brought in for you to use for that project. So if you want to create a new project, we do so. We put in the name of the project. We can put in the address and the dates. We then select the type of index we want, and we'll come to that shortly. And the project is created. So going back to our company safety management system, we spoke about projects, and of course then we have policies, lots of policies. So we have a document library where we store a range of policies, plans, procedures, and other documents. And all these are available for your use. Bear in mind they are samples, so you might need to edit them for your use. And being in the library, this is done for all future projects. When we're doing the project themselves, and I'll show you that shortly, you can now have a project specific document which is edited for that project and doesn't affect the master document, which is what this one is. Documents also need an effective date, and a review date, and you might want to put in other information regarding the document as well. There is a useful document called the Safety Management Plan, which for construction purposes includes 49 different components, and these cover a wide range of safety aspects within the company or the project, or it could be non-construction as well. Please bear in mind this program is designed at construction and non-construction, which means it can be used in any business. Our next section tends to be everybody's biggest nightmare, and that's the risk register, JSA, task analysis, risk assessment, call it what you like. Very similar concepts. It's all about a terminology. And what happens here as well is we have an assessment library of lots to choose from in different categories, and these ones in blue are our favorite ones, our commonly used ones. So we can sort by category, we can sort by title, and we can do a search as well for a relevant document. So let's have a look at that one. And it's broken down in a commonly used format, which could be either available in grayscale or in color. And this highlights the different aspects of the site. Now this is a JSA, so we're looking at activities on the site as opposed to a hazard register, which looks at identifying the hazards on the site and what can cause them. And you can add in hazards to suit, you can add in harm, you can put in control methods, and you can of course change the rating to suit your particular project. Now this one here is in the master section, so whatever we do in the master section stays master, and you'll need to bring these across into a project so it becomes a project document, so you can change things on there so it doesn't affect your master documents. Master documents are in the library. You want to take them out, use them for a project, change in the project, but not mess up whatever's in the library itself. If you want to create a new one, there's a whole risk assessment builder tool of which you can choose a new one. We have a list of types to choose from. In this case, let's say a JSA. We put in a title and a category. And then you have the choice to either build from scratch or use the risk assessment builder. So first of all, I'll show you how we do it from the risk assessment builder. So what we get first of all is a list of available activities. And there's an activity library, and I'll show that to you shortly. But this allows you to store activities that you might use again, because most companies are doing the same thing over and over again. And these are there for you to use. Obviously, you can add your own, but you can scroll down and find what's relevant for your business. So in our case, we've got catering services. We're working in a catering kitchen. We're doing that. We're doing that. We're doing that. And you get the idea. So in running through that, we can now preview those that are selected. We now select the order, and I'll just put these in any random order because I don't really mind at this point. It's just for demonstration. And we then sort our order. If we're happy with the order, we then create the JSA. As easy as that, all our items are listed. And we can now go in and edit these because these came off the standard system. You're not going to be doing that, and that doesn't apply to you either. And we decide we don't want that, so we just get rid of that one actually. And it's built. And so that means you can now use this at a later stage as well for a different thing. Or duplicate it and add onto it for a similar thing, for making tea and serving scones. So as quickly as that, you can build them. If you want to add in a dedicated line, you can still do that. Or you can go to what I referred to earlier, the activities library, where they're all stored. And if you go there, there are all the items again, and you can go there and you can add, or you want to have vehicles because there's loading vehicles, you can select that one, and it pops it in there for you as well. So that is now there. You can change the risk rating and remove a line, and you're done. If you want to add in your own item, that's also okay. So we're going to make sandwiches, and we identify the hazards, the potential injury and harm, our control measures, and then our rating thereafter. So in doing so, we've now created a new activity, and we want to make another risk assessment later on. So we're going to store this activity. We add this to our library for future use. We see it there. It goes away. And then what it asks you to do is to add in some keywords. Now the keywords help you to search for it later on. We can change that to sandwiches, tea, coffee, catering, party, lunch. Anything that you might need to search for later on to be able to bring out those words for your next risk assessment. And at any time you can use these buttons to view that hazard, or we can edit that, and we can then update it in the library itself, or we can do it in reverse. We can do lots of blood. No, we actually don't need lots of blood, that's a bit gory. We take that out and we now go back and update in the library, takes it away, and off we carry on as usual. So that's how you'd build that. If you wanted to build one from scratch with nothing, this time we're going to do a task analysis. We can click on that and we choose the build a blank page, and you start off with nothing, and then you can just do it manually. Also useful if you are copying from an existing one that might be on a Word document or an Excel document. You can copy and paste them in there, or you can write it manually, or you can import from the activity library as discussed earlier, and we select items that we want that will add in and build up this particular assessment. For your reference as well, because a lot of these might not apply to you, we go to the bulk delete section and you'll be able to remove all the ones that are relevant to you, so you can focus on what's important to your company. We have a section to record management meeting minutes, which must typically have matters relating to health and safety, and it's always good to have those as a fixed item on the agenda at the top of the agenda, because it is important. And that could be a management meeting or a safety meeting. If you have a health and safety committee, you can now call it a safety meeting and include matters specific to safety, not just overall management, which will include safety. Likewise, we have site briefings, and site briefings are also available on a mobile device if you're on the package that allows that. And if you look at your site briefing, you can add as much information as you want, and that could be a site briefing or a pre-work assessment. Now, training is very important, so we have safe operating procedures. So that refers to the operation of a specific tool. So for example, a safe operating procedure is how to operate a drill, whereas opposed a safe work procedure is using a drill to drill into concrete and insert a bolt. So these are great for training, and once finished you can generate a sign sheet. So all persons within the company will get listed on the sign sheet, provided they are selected for that list, which you can do here in the personnel for the project. We can always edit that, we can add everybody into it, and now when we look at a safe operating procedure and we go to the sign sheet, now all names are included. And this is very good to prove that you've communicated how to use a tool safely to your workers in case there's an accident, and you don't want to have yourself being liable for lack of training in the event of an accident. So our next section is safe work procedures, and a range of those available. Same situation, there's a sign sheet as well, and you can build these up as much as you want. You can add in more headings if you need to, and the information here can be copy and pasted from an existing document, and you can now change your own category headings and bring in the content as well to build up a good safe work procedure document. So next we can have a look at vehicle registers, and we record everything there regarding the vehicle, its details, and if you want to create a checklist on that, in this case it doesn't have one, so we create a new one for that vehicle, and there is a list of preloaded samples here. There again, you can build your own, and because it's a utility vehicle, we'll select that one. We select the period. We're going to do this on a weekly basis, and if we want to have a look at that checklist, there it is there. So weekly there are the blocks that we tick, and that's how it'll print. So that checklist is available on mobile devices. These ones here are for once off use. If you're using them on mobile device or using on a regular basis, then you do it separately. We'll come to that shortly. So in a similar manner, we have incidents and accidents, where you can record the incidents. You can go to the detail of a report, create a new one obviously, and you can record photographs as well, which get included on the report, and then you do your investigation where the information is carried through, and you can do that in much more detail. And then it's important to then communicate that information to your team at a site briefing, and you add those to the site briefings that we spoke about earlier. And of course, why an incident investigation is important, whether it be an accident or an incident or an unavoidable event, or whatever you like to call it, is you need to look at the steps that need to be done to make sure it doesn't happen again. So does it need more training? Do you need to improve your safe operating procedure, your safe work procedure, your risk assessment? Those are things you need to decide what to do, and then you do that and you communicate to the people. You can generate hazard reports. There again, identified hazards on a site. There again, that can be done from a mobile device. And the system includes a hazardous substances register. So you can record what measures are going to be used to avoid any issues, and you can store an internet link to the safety data sheet, which is that over there. And why we use the link is because it means it's current, is always available, and you might need to change it, and of course it needs to be within a certain date period as well, generally 5 years, and generally for your country. There's a section for checklists and inspections, and this also includes audits, and your inspection documents are all stored here. So they've got audits there, general inspections, inductions, KPI audits, tools and equipment, and vehicle and mobile plant. On the vehicle section, we saw the contents of those here. So this is where you would edit your master document to be pulled through. Otherwise, you can, of course, edit the vehicle inspection in that section as well. So in this case, let's say looking at a fire extinguisher inspection. So you've got the different items there, and you can add on there whatever item you want. And if we mark it as a heading, it goes in a different color, and it's banged in the center there, but it's a 4.5, which means that we update the order, it sits there, and we can just change the numbers there too. And that now puts it in your order there, so when you're creating that, it'll print like that. And of course, you can change it to whatever you want and build whatever inspections you want. And let's just remove that because we don't need it. And consider that your tools and equipment, vehicle mobile plant, as well as your general inspections are also available for use on mobile device. So if you need to set up a new one, you can do so, or duplicate an existing one and add onto it, or delete, make a few changes, rename it, and you'll set it up for the period that you want it, whether it's daily or weekly or as required. You can set its category, which helps with the search, so we can sort by category. And then also with the group, you can choose between a general inspection, vehicles, tools and equipment, or induction or audit as well. So if you want to include an inspection within the parameters of a project, you will add one from the library. By selecting that button, you find your audit that you want and you pop it in, and there it is there. And you can now go there and look at the contents of that. And when it comes to print that, it'll appear like that for you to now fill in and use. And we spoke about earlier about the headings. You see how the headings are highlighted there. And you can choose between having yes or no's, or you can put values or no line as well. And those will change here by setting the values. So it's a value or a KPI, and that'll change the appearance of the printed document. The PPE register, pretty simple. You can add as many items as you want to keep track of what is issued to whom and when. You can now sort by name, sort by item, sort by date, and you can easily add on an item there to every, and we put on some high-vis vests and put the date as well. You can also do a reissue date to remind yourself when they are due for a reissue. Some items are short period, but some items should be replaced on an annual basis or as required. Asset management is pretty straightforward. So that's for looking after your tools, putting a photograph of the item, model, make, number, whatever notes are there about it, costs involved with repairing it, so you see whether it's worthwhile keeping or throwing away. Final item on this list is contractor management. So if you're in the construction industry, particularly very important because you are responsible for the contractors on your site, and there is a range of contractor documents there. If you need to add them, we can do so. We select from our list of contractors that we had loaded up previously. We then choose which contractor document that we want, and these are preloaded on the system. And in doing so, we just want those, and we want that one as well. And in doing so, the documents are created and added to our list of contractor documents. So if you're a New Zealander, we have the system of pre-qualifications, and there's some guidelines there for the three big ones. So if you look at a Toteka, there's a guide there for questions asked within the pre-qualification itself. For example, they want to know your document procedures for incident management, pop it in there, and then go straight to the incident management document. We go back there. There is a separate video devoted to the prequels, so I won't go into much detail on that, but that's a really good, useful angle to try and get your prequels done. But you need to have all your systems set up first, and that's what we've been through on the first part of this video. Types of hazards, there we go, lovely, done. Hazard register, they're all there, we can view them, check them, and print them, and then go back, and then we submit those to our pre-qualification. I now want to show you about the selected documents. So we have document lists, and when you create any new project, it asks you to select your document list. You might recall we did that earlier when you created the project. And what it is, if we go to the edit the index, we can look at things in more detail. There's an index there there's a range of preloaded indexes. Now you can use any of these. There's the standard safety management one that's there. So if we go into that one, these are the components that are included. Now, these are there to form a good guideline as to the components you need to build a good safety management system. And so this is loaded up at the start. And when in a project, if you decide you want to do something different, so for example, you are in a project-based one and you now want to replace that with a SSSP index because you want to do a site-specific safety plan, we choose the SSSP index, we select that for our project, and just get a moment, and then it changes it over. So those are the items that form a SSSP. There again, a separate video on that, but that is how quickly you can now generate an index for your project. You can of course build your own indexes. This particular contractor requested a dedicated list of items for a contract to produce for a pre-qualification, and it is built according to their list with their index numbers so they can match them, so they can easily check the document when it comes in. So if you want to add to this particular list, you select add a document and an item will come up on the list, and you can then choose from the list the document that you want to add to the list. You can change the order in which the document appears, change the index, but there is a more detailed video on this on the website as well. So if you go back to your options and you decide you want to build your own index, you create a new master index, we give it a title, and like we did with the risk assessments, we now go through the list and we find items that we want to include on our list. And then once done, we set that up, and then our list is created. Again, you can add in documents as well. So from our list, we can now preview all the items, the individual ones, and we can then actually scroll through each document in turn and check what it looks like before we print it to make sure that it's correct. Let's look at mobile inspection. So it's no good somebody's on site and doing a checklist or inspection on the site and someone in the office doesn't check on what they're doing. So that's why we have this mobile phone management section. So we're going to go to our checklists and inspections, and we can choose to either manage the lists or to view the inspections. In this case, we're just going to actually manage the lists first of all. We do that and we see that these three vehicles are available in the system, and we saw them earlier off the register, but we only want inspection for that particular vehicle there. In fact, no, let's add on that one too, just for fun. And you can inspect the list, and this is where you can change what the person sees on the phone. So if it's a component, we see blocks. In this case, got a value on there, or we could put in components there as well, but no, this is in fact a value. And or we can have a clear line as well, so they don't have any buttons to push, but in fact do want that there. And if we go back, that's what's been set up. Likewise with the general inspections, this is where we now select our inspection, and we want to do that one over there and have that one there available. There again, we've got a whole long list of inspections available. Those are the only ones we want to be visible on phone. So that's going to be the excavations and the site risk inspection. There we go, exciting stuff. So let's go and see what's completed on the vehicle side. Nothing. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I have a mirror of a mobile device connected to the system, And what I'm going to do now is go to the last item on the list, which is inspections. I'm going to choose vehicle and plant because that's the section we're in. And those 2 vehicles that are available for inspection show up, and that's what we're going to choose. We're going to choose that first one, and the list comes up. So we can now go through those on the phone and check all the bits and pieces there. There's our value we spoke about. There's going to be 25 litres there, so it's 25 litres that are done. And we now go, and now you see there's nothing there, no sign of oil leaks. Why is that? Well, because we actually, in our list there, no sign of oil leaks, we took out that item. So we know to go back and update that at a later stage. But we continue and we check on the items and it gets done, but I won't bore you with the rest. So I'm now going to do the same thing. We do an inspection on a general inspection. And in this case, we had our 2 inspections there. The excavation inspection, we go there. And we can now do our inspections of the bits and pieces. So with that being said, we've done our inspections. We can now actually go and to our vehicle ones, and we can see there that that one has been done. We can now view its detail, and that's what was set up. And that's as far as we've got before we got bored. There's our fuel liters there, and we can go. And that now means that if there are no's involved, someone can action it. Likewise, we go to our general inspections. We did the excavation inspection, and there again, that's as far as we got. And there's our no's, and it now means it's recorded. So it's also time stamped, which means that there's no cheating. And the login is by the name of the person who's actually logging in, so you know who did the inspection. And the whole thing with the system, it allows you to build your own checklist that you want for your inspections and make it personal to what you do, which makes it very relevant and very accurate to what is happening. So one vehicle might be similar to another one, but not identical. If it doesn't have a feature, rather leave it out. So that's about all for now. That's a lot. And if you want more information, there are other videos that go into different sections in more detail. Alternatively, give us a call and we can get you set up and going. Thank you. Goodbye.